Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now it is happening. Bitcoin is starting to break out above this crucial level on the price chart in the short term, continuing to play out this oversold signal here in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI. And this short-term bullish move is also being helped by the US stock market, playing out a bit of a short-term relief, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is also now perfectly bouncing from this crucial line of support right here, alongside Solana also holding above this important level of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a real quick look at the US stock market today. This is on the 1-hour time frame for the S&P 500 index, and we can see that over the last few days, obviously the US stock market has continued a little bit more of a short-term bounce, a short-term bullish relief, obviously helping to recover after all of that previous bearish price action. But at least so far, as of recording this video, we're not necessarily seeing a significant amount of momentum towards the upside, just a bit of a short-term relief. And in fact, over the last one day, we're starting to slow down a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Overall, once again, not yet breaking into new all-time highs, but just in the shorter term, having a slight little relief, just a bit of a break in the short term from all of the bearish price action here. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today here on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, and we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for on the weekly Bitcoin price chart. So not a lot has changed on this time frame over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we also still technically have a bullish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, because over the last few days, despite this latest drop off in the short term, we've not yet actually confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate this bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame. And so this is telling us that in the coming days or weeks, we could likely continue either a little bit more choppy sideways price action, or maybe just a slight little bullish relief. Once again, don't necessarily expect a significant amount of momentum based on this bullish divergence by itself, but basically it's likely we could continue kind of ranging somewhat sideways. Is a very likely scenario, especially due to the fact that here on the daily Bitcoin price chart, of course, over the last half a week, almost a week now, we've been breaking back to the downside below this crucial area on the price chart, which was previous resistance and is now likely acting as resistance again. And that's sitting in between around 92,000 to 94,000, especially around that 94K level. That is a key level to pay attention to on the price chart. And obviously, considering it's above the current price of Bitcoin, once again, expect resistance around that level. But obviously, while the price of Bitcoin has that resistance towards the upside, we also have a lot of support towards the downside to be aware of. For example, this Fibonacci level here, also based on these previous lows, sitting at around 85 to 86,000. We have a lot of support around there. Once again, 85 to 86,000 acting as key support. So right now, the price is basically back in this previous sideways price range that we've really been in for the last couple of months now, just bouncing between that support and that resistance that I just mentioned. And once again, considering we're trying to play out this bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame, while also still trying to play out the larger bearish divergence on the weekly chart, it's likely that just in the shorter term, for the coming days, maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks, we could remain kind of range bound as the price is trying to play out bullish and bearish price action, but basically just bouncing between support and resistance just in the meantime here. But in terms of the larger price structure on the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're still currently seeing a lot of similarities compared to what we saw around March entering into April 2022. And now obviously I've explained this in more detail over the last few videos, over the last few days here on this channel, but giving you a really quick update in case you're new to the channel. Basically what we saw last time from basically January 2022 all the way up until April 2022, over those few months there, we saw a lot of choppy sideways price action with relatively horizontal resistance and higher lows, and then eventually a breakout towards the upside. And so obviously we saw something very similar over the last few months, chopping around somewhat sideways with higher lows and relatively horizontal resistance, and then confirming a breakout here, just like what we saw last time. But then just like what we saw last time, we failed to hold that previous resistance as new support, and we actually confirmed to break back to the downside, therefore invalidating the breakout towards the upside and confirming just a fake out, confirming basically a bearish signal. And so if history is any indication, it's possible we could be potentially somewhere around here. As always, don't expect the exact same outcome. Obviously, there's no such thing as a guarantee. So just because we saw this outcome last time, it certainly does not guarantee we're going to see the exact same thing this time around. So just keep that in mind. But if we are somewhere similar to what we saw around back here, around almost mid-April 2022, once again, just in the short term, we could be due to see just a slight little bullish relief, maybe within the next few days or so. But in terms of the larger structure, talking about the next multiple weeks or the next 1 month, for example, we're still not in the clear yet. I'd like to see a confirmed breakout back above 94,000 and ideally back above these highs right here to actually form new higher highs to be more confident that we're really actually heading back in the bullish direction. But at the very least, we need to get back above 94,000 as a key level to start flipping more bullish again. While we're below 94,000, the price structure is still not looking too good on the daily time frame. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, just recently, over the last matter of hours or so, we've now started to confirm a new breakout above this important level in the short term, which was significant resistance all the way back here, and then was also support, and just over the last couple of days was perfectly acting as resistance as expected at around 89.9k, so almost $90,000 as a key level that we've been watching over the last few days, obviously. But right now, the price of Bitcoin, as of recording this video, has just now confirmed one 6-hour candle close above 90,000. In fact, we confirmed the candle close at around 90.5k. And so technically speaking, this is now one confirmation signal starting to confirm the breakout finally back above that short-term level of resistance, which was causing a lot of struggle over the last 1 to 2 days just in the short term here for the price of Bitcoin. So now that we're breaking out past that point, we could likely find a little more resistance at close to 92,000, but then especially as we get closer towards 94,000, once again, that is the key level of resistance, a very, very important level of resistance at give or take 94,000. And now that we're starting to break out back above $90,000, this could potentially now become new support. So if we see, for example, a slight little pullback, expect some support at around 90,000 and also more support at closer towards 87,000 here in the short term. And of course, another reason as to why we're playing out this short-term bullish relief is due to the fact that we're playing out an oversold signal that I've already mentioned over the last couple of days here in the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI. Once again, oversold in the RSI means we went too far to the downside too quickly, at least in the short term, and we now need some time over the next few days or so to reset the RSI out of oversold back towards more neutral levels, which means expect either a bit of a bounce or maybe some choppy sideways price action. Basically, a break or a relief from all of the bearish price action is quite likely. And obviously right now we're seeing exactly that. And this could potentially continue for a little longer, maybe over the next couple of days. But remember, this is only talking about very short-term moves for the price of Bitcoin that are currently occurring within this larger sideways price range. Remember, we can see both bullish and bearish price action while we're just chopping around in a sideways price range. So keep that in mind. In order to start flipping more bullish again, we need to break out above 94,000 and actually hold above that level to keep that breakout active. And so basically right now, it's kind of the calm before the storm. Obviously, we're starting to see a little bit of movement here, but overall, this is the time to be set up ready to go to take the next trading opportunity. And of course, in order to trade crypto, you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And if you use the first link below the video in the description and in the pinned comment, that first link below the video will take you to the 2bit crypto exchange, which is an exchange that I personally use from time to time. And by the way, it's a no KYC exchange, and 2bit just recently partnered with La Liga. So there's currently a massive trading event happening right now over on 2bit for the next 1 month or so, where there's 800,000 USD in prizes. And so basically you can win potentially a bunch of merchandise or La Liga match tickets or crypto, basically free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that first link below the video just by simply trading crypto, for example. So especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well check this out. You might as well take advantage of this using that first link below the video to 2bit. And remember, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But if you want another option out there, another exchange that I personally use myself, where you can also claim some extra bonuses on, then in that situation, check out the second link below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. because that second link below the video will take you to this page right here over on the Pinex crypto exchange, where you can also take advantage of major bonuses that are only available using that link. And so, for example, if you make your account using that link below the video to Pinex and complete KYC, you get a 50 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. And on top of that, there's deposit bonuses. If you deposit as little as 100 USDT, you get a 100 USDT bonus on your account. If you deposit 10,000, you get a 1,000 USDT bonus onto your Pinex account. So once again, basically a bunch of free money from the exchange, which you can claim using that second link below the video to Pinex. So obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out and take advantage of this using that second link below this video. But if we're taking a real quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, looking at the last 1 month worth of price action, we could see that at least right now, we still have this area of liquidity building below the price of Bitcoin at roughly around 85,500, really in between 85.2K to 85.8K. So keep that in mind. That is still an area to watch out for. But while the stock market is of course playing out this slight little relief, obviously that can also help with a slight little relief just in the short term for Bitcoin. Remember, this does not necessarily give us an exact time or time frame that we need to hit that level by. It doesn't tell us in the next hour. It could perhaps be in a couple of days from now, or maybe never, because obviously there's no such thing as a guarantee, but usually, very likely, the price moves towards where we have a lot of liquidity, which is why it's just worth keeping this in mind and being aware that we still have liquidity building at roughly 85,500 right around here on the price chart. And so perhaps a likely possibility in the coming days or over the next 1 week or so is that right now the price is still in this sideways price range. So in the imminent short term, while we're playing out this slight little breakout here, yes, it's possible we could continue a little bit more of a relief playing out this oversold signal, but then potentially if we start losing some bullish momentum here, and obviously as we start to run into major resistance at around 92 and especially 94,000, as we start to run into that resistance, obviously it's likely the price will start to struggle around that area, possibly see another rejection from close to that area, and then it's possible that maybe on that next rejection we come back down towards that lower liquidity. So as always, no guarantees, but that's potentially a likely scenario that's worth considering. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, in the immediate short term, obviously the Bitcoin dominance is playing out this bullish movement here, but in terms of this larger trend or price structure for the Bitcoin dominance, we're still looking very neutral, basically just bouncing around relatively sideways on the price chart, as we can see. So we're basically in a short-term bullish move during choppy sideways price action. And as for the next resistance, we could find a small amount of resistance at around 60% in the Bitcoin dominance, but the next significant area of resistance to watch out for is in between 60.5% to 61% in the Bitcoin dominance. And so overall, expect somewhat similar price action for a lot of the major altcoins out there on average compared to what Bitcoin is doing, which means, of course, with Bitcoin playing out this slight little relief, but still overall in terms of the price structure looking weak, expect something similar for this for really a lot of the altcoin market, which means some altcoins may experience just a slight little relief in the short term, but overall, unless Bitcoin, for example, starts to break out back above 94,000 and hold above that level, in terms of the bigger picture here, still expect a lot of weakness right now for Bitcoin and crypto, obviously with the Bitcoin dominance, especially playing out this slight little bullish move. That can even mean altcoins on average doing a little bit worse than whatever Bitcoin is doing. But if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, right now the price of ETH is trying to retest and trying to get back above this important Fibonacci level, but so far we're continuing to find resistance at this level at around $3,040 to $3,050. But really in between around 3,000 to 3.1K is the area of resistance that I'll be watching out for based on previous support flipping into new resistance now. And if the price were to break out back above that area, so ideally confirm a daily candle close above 3.1K and actually hold above that level, in that situation, the next massive resistance is in between roughly 3.3K to 3.4K. And as for the next horizontal area of support to watch out for, significant support, we have a lot of support at give or take 2.8K, but just before that horizontal support, we have this ascending line of support on the daily Ethereum price chart, which is coming into play at just above 2.9K. So more specifically around 29.30. And so far, we're perfectly holding that as support, as we can see right here. And so at least for now, this is some good news to pay attention to, because it means that right now the price of ETH on the daily time frame is continuing to form higher lows while forming relatively horizontal highs at relatively horizontal resistance at, once again, around 3.3K to 3.4K. And so this type of price structure somewhat resembles an ascending triangle pattern, which, by the way, is starting to form a bit of bullish price structure if we, of course, continue to hold above this line right here. This is a very important line that we need to hold above in order to basically keep at least some hope remaining active for Ethereum. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 8-hour Ethereum price chart, of course, another reason as to why we've played out just a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action over the last couple of days is thanks to the fact that we hit oversold here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI. So obviously over the last 1 week or so, we perfectly played out this bearish divergence as expected, basically in the form of a pullback, as we can see right here. But then the moment we hit oversold, as I've been talking about for the last few days, once again, this is a signal telling us we went too far to the downside too quickly, and we now need to spend the next couple of days resetting the RSI out of oversold, which means expect most likely some choppy sideways price action, or maybe just a slight little bounce moving forward. Don't expect significant bullish momentum. Don't expect a significant amount of strength in the market. Just a bit of a break or a relief from all of this bearish price action is quite likely. And once again, I've been exactly saying that over the last couple of days, and that's what I'm saying right now. At least over the next 1 to 2 days, continue to expect this to play out moving forward just in the short term here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, right now the price of Solana is running into and bouncing from this exact level of support here at around 125. So continue to expect a lot of support at roughly $125. And if the price were to actually break back to the downside below that level with confirmation, in that situation, I would expect more support at around 117 to 119. But once again, the immediate support is still sitting at around 125. And as for resistance, if we see a little bit more of a bounce here, we could find some resistance at close to 130 and some resistance at close to 134 to 135. But the next significant area of resistance to watch out for is in between 143 to 147. And kind of similar to Bitcoin being in a bit of a sideways price range here on the daily time frame, Solana is also obviously in a similar sideways price range, but unlike Bitcoin obviously having a little fake out towards the upside during this range right here, Solana on the other hand had a little fake out towards the downside below the level of support, but then we quickly broke out back above that level, staying in this same sideways price range that we've been in for months. Since basically mid-November onwards, we've just for the most part been chopping around between this support and this resistance. Once again, support at around 124 to 125 and resistance at around 143 to 147. And so for the foreseeable future, talking about at least the next few days, I do continue to expect the price of Solana to remain in this range right here, at least for now. But obviously, even during a choppy sideways price range like this, you can still profit from crypto using grid bots and things like that, which if you want to know more about a grid bot trading strategy, stick around to the end of the video to find out more. But first, if we're taking a quick look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this time frame. So we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for. We also still have a lot of support at around $1.80. So once again, not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on this chart right here. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, right now the price is bouncing from very close to that $1.80 level, just a few cents above $1.80. Obviously, we started to bounce from around there, which obviously shows that give or take $1.80, even slightly above that level, we still have a lot of support around there on the price chart. And remember, as I always say, XRP, along with a lot of the major altcoins out there on average, will likely perform very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing, which means if Bitcoin's playing out this slight little relief, maybe a slight little breakout in the short term towards the next point of resistance, expect potentially something similar to this. So a slight little relief or a bit of a bounce in the short term for some of these major altcoins. And while we're playing out potentially a slight little bullish relief, obviously we have resistance to watch out for towards the upside. First of all, we do have some resistance at around 195, but especially around $2.05. That is the next major level of resistance to watch out for at $2.05. And above that, I'd expect more resistance at around 217 to 218. And above that, significant resistance in between $2.30 to $2.40. And so those are the key levels and my expectations moving forward to watch out for just for the next couple of days or so in the short term for the price of XRP. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink Chainlink on the daily time frame. I expect something somewhat similar for Chainlink as what I've been saying throughout the video for Bitcoin and other altcoins, which means if Bitcoin's playing out this slight little breakout, which it is doing right now, expect maybe just a slight little relief for Chainlink in the short term over the next couple of days. Once again, don't expect a significant amount of strength or significant amount of bullish momentum. Do not expect that right now for Chainlink. That is simply unlikely. What's much more likely is maybe just a little bit of choppy sideways price action or a very, very slight little bullish relief. And this is also due to the fact that we're bouncing from a very important level of support here based on these previous lows right here, where we've seen multiple important bounces from sitting at around $12, really in between $11.90 to $12 as a key area of support to watch out for on the price chart. So once again, right now, we're simply seeing a slight little reaction, a slight little bounce from that support right there. But once again, don't expect a significant amount of bullish momentum or strength from that support based on that reason alone. And so when we're talking about other support and resistance levels, once again, if we break below around $11.90 to $12 in that situation, would likely see around a $1 drop towards the downside towards this next support based on this previous low all the way back here around June 2025, which is sitting at around $10.90 to almost $11. So once again, if we break below $11.90 to $12, basically expect around a $1 drop as a likely scenario. But once again, we're still holding this $12 level as support. And as for resistance, if we see a little bit more of a bounce in the short term, start to expect some resistance at around $12.70 to $12.80. And above that, expect major resistance in between around $13.30 to $13.50. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to take advantage of massive bonuses that you can claim using those links if you want to those exchanges right there. And of course, if you want to know how you can trade these moves, no matter what direction the price goes to profit, no matter what the price does in the crypto market, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action using a grid bot trading strategy. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.